US dollar, it is falling apart. In order for you to understand it, watch this.
Since the use of the dollar, which is still the most important tool in global finance, and its use as a political tool undermines trust in this currency, thereby reducing its capabilities. We are not the ones who do that, it's others. We are not rejecting the dollar or fighting against it, but if they don't let us work with it, what else should we do? We should seek other alternatives, and this is exactly what we do.
Starting with that moment, the New Development Bank tried to access various markets, Hong Kong dollars, US dollars, and in South Africa as well, so we take part in various transactions. We dealt with more than $12 billion, and we use the diverse strategies. We diversify the currency systems, and by doing so, we reduce the costs, and thus we try to establish our own system.
And efforts taken so far to reduce the dominance of dollar in the world economy should be boosted with prompt decisions, such as creating Brics system of currency and creating new solutions not depending on the dollar. Countries of the world cannot afford anymore to pay for the mistakes or inefficiency of the United States in fighting corruption in the financial sector. Today, the world is facing many challenges in food security, climate change, the dollar crisis, and the split between the North and the South, and many other problems. And solving those problems that have affected developing countries and the global South must be accompanied by active involvement of BRICS member states, and BRICS should act more seriously.
Can you imagine waking up one day in a new world without having the US dollar as the world #1 trade currency? Can you imagine how things will look in the USA borders without having the US dollar as their world currency? What impact can this have to the US politics and the US economy? What kind of influence the USA they're still gonna have around the world without having the US dollar as their world currency? Because we all know how powerful the US dollar play a very big major role in the US foreign policy when it comes to trade with other countries, when it comes to do business with other nations, when it comes to influence other nations' politics. USA dollars, they usually have to use it against many nations around the world in order for them to be in possession of that leadership, as we like to call them here at Cool Buzz TV, big brothers who like to do things differently compared to other people around the world. Now imagine USA without US dollar as the world #1 trade currency. How will things look like for them? How are them going to do business with other nations? And what impact will this have to do with the USA politics? We're here and we want to talk about that. Guys, as you all know, or as you saw right now in the report that we play for you, things is happening. Yes, when we used to tell you about the following of the US dollar, some people never take us serious. Some people thought like maybe it is something that it will take centuries in order for the US dollar to be defeated. But forgetting that since the world with its technologies and environment, it is kind of things that get to change each and every time, each and every second. Well, this time things have also have to move that fast. Even when it comes to the world of politics, you will see that the USA, they are now having a lot of challenges around the world. And we'll tell you the reason why they are now having a lot of challenges when it comes to the economy development, when it comes to technologies, when it comes to any kind of things that we know that USA, they were dominating. Right now, the entire world with different countries around the world that now want to face or challenge the USA. And that is something that is driving the administrations of Joe Biden going insane, because losing the leadership as the USA around the world, it is something that Americans are not able to handle, because they want to remain in the same positions as they used to be for all this time. Now, you guys, you saw Brics, they are in their meetings and they'll be finishing it very soon. And in this Brics summit, as it is taking place in Russia under the leadership of Vladimir Putin, they had only one thing in agenda, and that is on how to defeat the US dollar. Remember, I just told you about how the US dollar is now having a lot of challenges around the world, and many people, they are tired. They are tired using this US dollar as the world trading currency. They want to do business with their own currency of their choice. They want to say goodbye to the US dollar and focus on other new world currency that can come and take place. So the Brics in their summit, they want now to officialize what they had started doing for some time. At first, it was all about rumors, whereby it was suggested by different world organizations or different world leaders who had to come and say that no, the USA, the Brics, they should come up with their own currency, because with their own currency, it will help their bloc or their group to become even more powerful than G20 or G7. Now, these rumors, it had become now a true reality, because in the agenda of the Brics that is taking place in Russia right now under the leadership of Vladimir Putin, well, there is only one thing on the table. How are we going to defeat the US dollar with our new world currency? So Brics is about to launch a new currency which they will be trading among themselves. And keep in mind that when we see Brics, we see countries such as China, Brasilia, Russia, India, South Africa. There are about 5 countries who are involved in these organizations, and now they have extended their wings. They are now welcoming different countries, as you see again in this summit that's ongoing. We're having new members of Brics who had joined Brics last year in South Africa, countries such as Ethiopia, Egypt, Iran, and Saudi Arabia. So these countries, we all know what they mean to the world when it comes to business. We all know how powerful these countries' economies, it's playing a very big impact in the world economy. If we look at countries such as Ethiopia, look what Ethiopians does in Africa continent. They play a very big role in Africa economy, and they play a very big role in Africa development. Look, Ethiopians around Africa, even around the world, you will see them that they are the most successful businessmen. They know how to start with a small capital and grow it up to something else. Look, countries such as Egypt. It is a biblically country when it comes to a lot of things, whether it is through the armies, whether it's through economy, whether it's through leadership. It is a country which has a history behind it. Look, Saudi Arabia. Right now, Saudi Arabia, they are one of the top petrol sellers. They sell a lot of oil and petrol all over. And them being in possession of things such as the gold. Of course, Brics need countries such as Saudi Arabia, because this new currency of Brics, it will have to be backed by such things such as the gold and oil. So they need that Arabic country such as Saudi Arabia, so that it can come also with its influence to accommodate this new currency of Brics. If you look countries such as Iran is one of the countries that is putting the Westerns, or should I say the USA, it put them more uncomfortable, especially in the Arabic regions. Because we see how the USA, they've been trying to influence a lot of conflicts in the Middle East, because they want to make sure that their leadership, it is taking place over there. On the other side, we're having Iran, which has been challenging them and saying that no, go and put your leadership somewhere else and not in this Middle East, where we believe that we are the one who are in charge. That is the reason why you see them, they're having a lot of conflicts, and this conflict, which is about to escalate to World War III, that's ongoing right now, because on the other side we're having Israel, who's now busy bombarding beside Palestine. Now they are busy there in Lebanon. And Iran, it is a country which is trying to stand against all this, which will develop again in our next videos to tell you on how Iran, they had signed a new deal with Russia in order for Russia to back them up. But guys, just look, these four countries that I gave the example, see the kind of impact they are having, whether it's through armies, whether it's through economically, whether it is through trading, so from one country to another country. You'll see that these countries, they are playing a very big role. So when Brics open their wings and they try to extend themselves by recruiting these countries, of course it's because they want to make sure that before the USA or NATO or G7 or G20 come and recruit these countries, they should go and pick them up, because they know how important these countries will add, or how valued these countries will add to their bloc of Brics. Now, that is not something which the USA would like to let them go ahead and succeed by doing it. So the USA, on their side, they're doing everything to resist. To resist why? They're doing everything to fight these Brics plans. Why they are planning to do all these things? Of course, it is for a simple reason. And the reason being is that they don't want to lose the US dollar as the world currency. You heard former President Donald Trump saying that
we cannot lose our dollar standard. If we lost the dollar as the world currency, I think that would be the equivalent of losing a war. That would make us a third world country, and we can't let it happen.
According to Donald Trump, even go far by giving examples saying that losing US dollar as the world currency, it is if like we are losing the war. So this war that you see the Middle East and in Europe, somewhere there in conflict in Africa, that the USA, they've been lighting up and sponsoring, giving billions of money so that one nation can go and kill innocent children and women. Well, yes, we all know what this war means for the people of America, and how they're benefiting from all this, which will elaborate more in our next video. But according to Donald Trump understanding, it says that whether we are winning this war or not, which we all know that they were never gonna win it. You know why? Because they're actually the one who are benefiting the most behind all this conflict we are seeing around the world. The more you guys fight, the more money they make. The more you guys get engaged in conflict, the more business and tenders them they will keep winning for companies which are located within the US borders. So they will never gonna allow peace to reign, because they know very well that the day this world will live at peace, the USA economy, it will drop immediately. And once the US economy drops, well, the entire world will cease and stop trading with the USA, because they won't have nothing to benefit from the USA anymore. And that's something that will make them also lose their leadership. So that's the reason why they're doing everything by all power to make sure that they resist against this plan that Brics have. Now, Brics on the other side, they're so determined, as I said, that on the top agenda of what they're discussing right now in Brics Summit, it is on how they're going to launch this new world currency and how it's going to benefit them. But guys, let us ask ourselves a very simple question just to understand, how did the things escalate to this point? How did we get here actually? Why such organizations or a group of which started with 5 countries, now they are about 9 or 7, they are now planning to have another currency which they have to trade about among themselves. And this currency, it has not yet started existing like physically, beside the one of Russia, because Russia, we all know that they had changed their way of payments in order for them to trade with other nations. They came up with their own way on how to trade with other currency instead of trading with the US dollar. And this seemed to work very good for them because they are now in control of everything. US dollar or World Reserve banks, they don't know how Russia economy get to increase, how much they have lost, or how much they are benefiting, or they don't know much about Russia anymore because they are not in control of the way that Russia get to trade with other nations. Because Russia don't believe in the US dollar, they stopped to trade with the US dollar from the moment when the sanction was put on them. So, and all this is just a paragraph which I'm opening up, and all this, it seemed to working very good for them, all because they pushed them that far, and this now is benefiting them, and they are taking these same tips to share it with members of Brics. Now, as I was asking the question earlier on to know, how did things escalate to this point? Well, it is very simple. Yes, it is true. The US dollar, they are the men in charge as the world first currency. We can have pounds, we can have euros, we can have Japan, what, we can have China money. But all these monies, they are following under the US dollar. They can trade with other nations within their currencies, but yet everything is being evaluated into the US dollar. So whatever they give as a rate, it has something to do with the US dollar. Whether you are selling petrol, whether you are selling gold, whether you are selling diamond, whether you are selling titanium, cobalt, any kind of mineral resource, it's found in Africa or outside of Africa borders. US dollar is being considered as the world #1 currency, even though they had used that cooked against pound back in days, because they came up with this suggestion of saying that no, we should start trading through the gold, and the next things they were the one who have to come out with their own currency. Okay, we give them that credit because they've been there for centuries now. But now, how did people start changing their mind? How did countries start changing their mind to stop trading with the US dollar and prefer to have another world currency that they can rely in? Well, it's all because, things get to this point because the USA, they start abusing their power over this the US dollar. Because the US dollar is the world #1 trading currency, they start using it to blackmail other nations around the world, to start abusing other nations around the world, to start killing and destroying the economy of other nations around the world, all because they know that they are in possession of the US dollar, all because they know that they are in possession of MasterCard, all because they know that they are the one who control Google's and the internet and Microsoft, all those kind of things. They use that tools to blackmail other countries around the world. They've been doing that with many countries. Take example of Venezuela. Take example of Cuba. Take example of Zimbabwe. Take example of Russia. Take example of many countries around the world whom the USA, with its allies, they impose serious sanctions on these nations.
The sanctions have actually proved to be a bit of a catalyst for this wider trend of de-dollarization that we're seeing really picking up. I mean, Nigeria announcing that it's no longer going to be conducting oil trade in US dollars. It's got 3% of the world's oil reserves.
Yes.
So every nation starts doing this and the dollar's in a bit of trouble. But why is it then, if they can see that this is what's happening, that a result of their handiwork, why aren't they changing strategy?
Because I think it's short-term gain versus long-term policy. That's all about the Biden-Harris leadership and in foreign affairs. Now, this goes back to Madeleine Albright, who was very, very hawkish. She sort of set the groundwork for sanctions, and then here you go. They've been hyper-used by the Biden-Harris administration to this point, where it's actually just really decimating the Western economies. Look at Germany, look at England, look at America right now. Highest unemployment it's had, the highest inflation that it's had. And going back to de-dollarization, I would say it's more about that these countries are finding an alternative currency so they don't have to be relying on the West. You know, the dollar has dominated and the West has been using it as like a weapon to oppress other nations. And now people will have the freedom to use their own currency and do exchange as they should.
So I use sanctions very powerfully against countries that deserve it, and then I take them off. Because look, you're losing Iran, you're losing Russia. China is out there trying to get their currency to be the dominant currency, as you know better than anybody. All of these things are happening. You're losing so many countries because there's so much conflict with all of these countries that you're going to lose that, and we can't lose that. So I want to use sanctions as little as possible.
And once they suspend these nations by imposing their sanctions on them, you will see that the economy of these countries, it will drop down. Why? Because these sanctions bring instability. These sanctions bring apostates within these countries. These sanctions bring unemployment. These sanctions destroy a lot of things. And you will see that no matter how stable or how good these countries they were doing financially, well, these sanctions will destroy them, and it will give them another look. And that is the reason why many countries don't have just to bow. You'll be having elections in your countries just because one or two of members in your politics, in your parliament, or should I say in the opposition political party, they did not do a proper lobbying with the USA by corrupting them so that they can come to their rescue. The next things you'll see them, they'll come and have the guts to tell you that, no, look, this elections was not well prepared, therefore we cancel it, therefore we don't recognize the elected president. You know, this kind of influence that the USA usually have, especially in Africa borders, whereby they'll just show up and they'll choose a leader that people did not vote for. Why? Because if you try to disobey them, if you try to do something which does not satisfy them, then they'll do everything in their power to destroy you economically, to destroy the economy for your country. So that once you start having serious problems, like having unemployment, like having a lot of suffering in the country, sickness, all those kind of things, they cut all kind of heads in your country. It will revolt your people. And once your people get to be revolted, they will start protesting against you. And once they start protesting against you, it will put your leadership under a serious threat. Why? Because when you are having a divided country as a president of a republic, you must know that your days in power are numbered. Yes, because anything can happen at any time, because we're having people who are divided. These people are supposed to be united as one behind your back. But once they go separate ways and having different opinions, you are having those who likes you and those ones who hurt you, and those ones who don't even want to sell you. of course, sooner or later, you'll be taken down. And that is how the USA politic, they've been using US dollar all this time to manipulate leaders around the world and say that no, if you don't do what we're asking you for, if you don't do something that can comply to our needs, then this is what we'll have to face as consequences. Now, guys, these things, it had also destroyed many leaders around the world. Many politicians around the world, they have come to open their eyes and they're like, no, we can't continue like this forever. Yes, because our people are suffering. On the other side, there's this big brother who lives properly in his house with his children. So now people are finding another way out to see on how they can neutralize the USA by destroying first the US dollar. And that is how you see Brics now that adopting this new world currency, because they know that they can't continue trading with the US dollar. They have been doing that already by trading among themselves, but this time they want to make it even more official. And when they're doing this, by them making it more official, it will make actually many nations around the world to join Brics. And I'm afraid, looking at how things are sitting on the table, according to all the reports we have in our possession, there is many countries which want to join Brics. Any country in the world right now, they prefer to join Brics than joining such organizations such as G20 or G7, because that group, according to our own understanding, it is a group, especially G7 I'm referring to, it is a group of detectors. A detectors who comes and tell you how to do things around. It is a group of people who want to boast you. It is a group who want to boast other nations, even though you are not part of this G7. But look, people who are inside there, look the kind of influence they're having around the world. You see that they collect each other, they call each other and they gather together. And then they want to start having influence on other nations around the world.
The share of the BRICS countries regarding the parity of purchasing capability for 2024 is going to be 36.7%, which is significantly higher than the G7 countries. They're going to have 30% share, and it was the same in 2023 and a little bit higher in 2024. This trend to maintain leading positions of the BRICS countries in the global economy is going to become even more evident due to the objective factors as the population growth, accumulation of capital, urbanization, and better labor efficiency due to the technological innovations.
The G7 is all about consolidation of power, like I said, and unilateral power at that. BRICS is about the multipolar world, and it's here. And so we need this balance. We need this balance in the world where China and Russia and India and the global south are allowed to use their own resources for their own populations and really create a stability for their people and move away from the endless wars. Because right now the West has been relying on the income of basically bloodshed to, fill their coffers, and that needs to stop. And so you see a shift from that. I mean, I think President Putin said 2 years ago about AI. He said whoever owns AI, artificial intelligence, and runs it will run the world. And you look at China and Russia and India and the different technologies that they're developing.
And that it is something that made many countries with many leaders around the world they did not want to go and join this G7. So they prefer to join BRICS because they believe in BRICS there's a freedom of speech. In BRICS, there's not big nations or small nation. There's no such a thing. Because they believe that in BRICS, they'll have that peace of mind at least in one way or other. Take for example, who could have imagined, let's forget about the influence of Ethiopia. But who could have imagined that a country such as Ethiopia, it can be part of BRICS? where there is China, where there is Brazil, where there is Russia, where there is South Africa, where there is India. Who could have imagined? I came across one of this footage as President Vladimir Putin was busy toasting with this with these Brics members. They were busy toasting up, and then I could see when he toasted with the president of Prime Minister of Ethiopia, you could see the man kind of like nervous, like, you know, he can't even believe that I'm actually here next to Vladimir Putin, next to Xi Jinping, next to Lula, next to the Indian Prime Minister Ramaphosa. Of course, we can understand maybe for President Ramaphosa because he's from South Africa, and as a South African leader, they usually meet every time they at Addis Ababa in Ethiopia. They can stand next to each other for a picture or greet each other at any time. Of course, we can say that it's used to Ramaphosa, but the president of Russia. So you could see how the man looked like, yes, Your Excellency, with all due respect, but he make it more obvious. You can just tell that no, the man, he was nervous. So that is how you can see how Brics want to do things around. So there is not small country and there's no big countries when it comes to Brics. And this is something that make many nations around the world feel more comfortable. Right now, we're having countries such as Nigeria, they're also busy applying for it. We're having countries such as the DR Congo of President Tshisekedi, they're also applying for it. There's many countries around the world who want to join this Brics. Do you know why? Because they feel like they'll be more safe to be in the Brics than being out there with these other nations such as the US or these former colonials, which we all know how they do things around. So all these countries, they want to go there because they can also see that us continue relying on the US dollar or us continue trading with the US dollar when we have our own currency, we're not going to benefit. We're not going to win. Because it is the USA who will have to print this US dollar. It's the World Bank who will have to tell you that no, we are going to borrow you this much for you to come and give us with this interest of this much. So you see that they don't want to rely anymore on the US dollar. They want something new.
And I think creating an electronic platform for all Brics member states to facilitate the processes of trade among those countries and reducing dependence on the world hegemony. And we need to think about ways of improving the systems, national settlement systems in national currencies. And we realize very well that we shouldn't depend anymore on Western payment systems. It is a significant threat for all countries.
Why do you think it's taken so long for us to get to a point where people are using their local currencies, which obviously seems so logical, as opposed to the greenback?
Central bank. The central bank has had worldwide power for a long time, stemming from the Western world. Well, with the rise of crypto now, you're going to see a shift, right, with online banking and cryptocurrencies. And so nations will be able to decentralize that, if you will. And so whereas like G7 focuses on individual capitalism, the world is now looking at more government involvement when you're looking at Brics. So they're allowing some of the government to have involved with the currencies, and that's a healthy thing. It's going to provide healthy stability economically and growth, and you've already seen that in Russia.
Because they know once we're having something new, imagine America come and tell you that no, we're putting sanctions on you. Will you believe them? Will you even feel? Will it even bother you to know that no, you are being sanctioned by Americans? It won't bother you because by then your mind will be at peace. You won't think again in that way. You won't even feel like no, look, because this and that happens, then let me just bow to the conditions of Americans. No, you'll start now focusing on other world currency. And that's what is destroying them. So guys, like it or not, the distractions of the US dollar, it has taken place, and it is taking place right now. From now on, it's just a matter of days or weeks, perhaps, if it takes that long. Because once the Brics launched this world new currency, all countries who want to trade with countries which are within Brics nations, you won't come and tell them that no, because us, we are from Europe, or us because we are Ukraine, we want to trade with South Africa. Then we're expecting South Africa to tell that, okay, no, let's trade in the US dollar, or let us trade in euros or pounds. No. You'll have to trade to this Brics currency, because you are the one who comes to them, and then they're not going to come to you. If they have to come to you, they're still going to impose you this, they are what, Brics currency. Because this Brics currency, once it is out there, it actually is going to have the more powerful, it will be more powerful than the US dollar. So the rate of this Brics currency, it will be traded at the very high rates. And this is something that the world have come to realize, that it is about time we do things differently. It's about time we get to stop these people who are coming and imposing us things around and telling us what to do and what not to do. People of the world, they have understand that very well. And that is the reason why you see now the USA, they are out of control. And proof to that, because we always say like this at Cool Bass TV, some of you, they don't take us serious until when it happens. Proof to that, wait and see. In a few days, the USA, they are going to their general elections. Wait, you'll see what will happen. What happened in the previous elections, it is nothing compared to what's up to happen. And this time it's going to be even more worse. If it happened that Donald Trump lose these elections, there will be a serious drama. But don't be like the one that took place in the previous elections. But if Democrats lose these elections, guys, you'll be surprised of what will happen, because they are also so determined to not lose these elections. That's the reason why they're trying everything by all means to stop Donald Trump from winning these elections, because according to them, well, Kamala, she's saying that no, Donald Trump is the worst nightmare that Americans can have as a president. On the other side, you are having this so-called black brother of mine, well, because he never done anything good that make me personally feel proud of him as a black person. Instead, I did consider him as one of the black who sell out black nations, especially Africans. I'm referring, of course, to former president of the USA, Barack Obama. He comes out also supporting Kamala Harris, saying that no, she the one who deserved to be there because Donald Trump is a lunatic. Well, that's politics for you. And you can see that they're doing all these things because they don't want to see the men taking over. If he have to come and take over, it will be their downfall. So what do they need in order for them to stop him? Is by trying everything as possible as they can to destroy him. So if it happened that Kamala have to lose these elections, you know what will happen? They will cause a serious scene within the US borders, because the Democrats, they have damaged a lot. They have done a lot of things around the world which remain unfinished. And they want to remain in power so that they can continue with their missions, so that they can finish whatever they have started. Now, if Donald Trump comes, because Donald Trump does not want to be part of their agenda, I can give you a very simple example. According to Donald Trump, he's saying that if he was still a president, Russia was not going to invade Ukraine. If he was a president, Israel was not going to go ahead and kill people in Palestine. In other words, there were not going to be war. If he was a president, Iran was not going to be able to develop nuclear bombs. Those are his words and not mine. But on the other side of Democrats, President Joe Biden, with his allies from Democrats, all of them, they believe that whatever is happening right now around the world is what's supposed to be happening. Why? Because it has increased the economy of Americans. There's a lot of jobs. You heard how they're bragging about it. We have done this, we have done that, we have done this, we have done that. How? Because the more this conflict keep on reigning around the world, the more money they're making. Let me give you a very easy example with the facts. According to the reports that they put on the table, USA, they already spent 160 billion US dollar in Ukraine so far for that war. Out of that money that they spent, can you believe me if I tell you that Ukraine, they only receive 40% of that amount. The other 60% of that 160 billion that the USA they have spent in Ukraine to support Ukraine in order for them to fight Russia, when that money remain within the US borders. For what reasons? Of course, let me tell you. That money remain within the US borders because they're the one who get to supply Ukraine with weapons. So all these companies that produce bombs, guns, fighting machines, all those kind of things, they are actually found within US borders. They are American companies. So Americans now is giving them tenders so that they can sell the guns to Ukraine. And once they do that, who's benefiting? Because these companies pay taxes. These companies, when they sell like that, the more they sell, the more people will have to hire. And the more people they hire, the lower unemployment the USA will have. And the lower unemployment the US will have, it will work in advantage of who? Of the president of that administration, which is Joe Biden, like it or not. So you see already on how they are benefiting from all this. Let's put that aside. What about Israel with Palestine? You saw how Israel is busy killing people, destroying people's homes. Do you think that all those missiles that Israel they've been throwing over there in Palestine, it comes from their manufacturers? No. According to the report we have in our possession, we are talking about 600,000 flights which had flight from the USA and the Europe. I'm referring to UK because in this conflict between Iran and Israel, the main should I say sponsors of this war, it is the USA and the British. Count out France. France, they're not in. Actually, you guys even saw how Emmanuel Macron have to fight with Benjamin Netanyahu, reminding him of how criminal he is, and Benjamin Netanyahu in return have also to call Emmanuel Macron some names. So these two countries, UK and the USA, they are the ones who've been sponsoring this conflict in the Middle East. Now, in the big part is the USA. They know very well that the more people fight in that regions, the more money they will keep on making. Don't forget that. The more money they will keep on making. Now, who's benefiting from all this? Of course, it is the USA. And if the USA is benefiting from all this or winning from all this, which means the Democrats, they're the one who are winning. So they rather prefer to stop someone who bring peace because they know it will drop their economy down. Guys, our time is up. I wish I would have gone more deeper, but this is what we prepared for you today. Thank you so much for taking your time to be here with us and watch this video until now. Of course, if you reach to this point, it's because you find at least something interesting that you would like to pick up with you after finishing watching this video. But do us a favor in return, give us your thumbs up, like this video in your numbers so that this message can reach to even more people out there. It is free of charge, of course. Like this video, we really do appreciate that. But if this is your first time to watch our videos and you would like to catch us in our next video, well, it's very simple. This is a Cool Buzz TV. Well, it is a Pan-African platforms. We focus about what is happening in Africa continent and in the world. So if you want to know more from us, it's very simple. Click that subscribe button right now so that whenever we're here live, you'll be able to join us. Okay? Now, with that being said, just be cool, be kind, be yourself, have respect for everyone in order for you to be respected. May God bless you all. I'll see you again very soon in our next video. Ciao, ciao.